Blackmagic Design surprised us out of nowhere with a brand new ATEM Mini Pro. Yes, that's right, a Pro version of the ATEM Mini. It sounds like they were listening to us and actually added a whole bunch of features we knew we wanted and some we didn't know we wanted. In this video, I'm going to talk about my favorite things I'm looking forward to in the brand new ATEM Mini Pro. If you thought the ATEM Mini was already an extremely powerful device, you're not wrong. And it just got like 10 times more powerful. I don't even know how they're able to pack everything into this little box, but it is just incredible now. So the ATEM Mini Pro is exactly the same form factor, same ports as the ATEM Mini. So that means it's got 4 HDMI inputs, 2 audio inputs, USB-C out, Ethernet, and HDMI out. The biggest change on the ATEM Mini Pro is what these outputs can do. So on the ATEM Mini, you had 2 ways to output video. HDMI out or over the USB-C, which will show up as a webcam into a computer. On the ATEM Mini Pro, there's a totally new way of outputting video, which is that the Pro can actually live stream directly over Ethernet. Yes, that's right. That means they've essentially made a whole bunch of these dedicated encoder devices obsolete by cramming that into the ATEM Mini. I used to have to use a dedicated hardware encoder like the Webcaster X2 in order to actually get that HDMI output onto the internet. Also, that means it would take up the HDMI out on the ATEM Mini. Now that the ATEM Mini can live stream over Ethernet, that means I can actually use the HDMI output for other things. Another huge change to the ATEM Mini Pro is that it can actually record to USB drives itself. So instead of plugging the USB-C into a laptop, if instead you plug a USB drive into the ATEM Mini, it can actually write files to that drive itself. That is extremely powerful. That means you can make a backup recording locally of whatever you're live streaming, or you can just use it as a recorder itself. And again, without this, I would have had to use a dedicated HDMI recorder and the HDMI output from the ATEM Mini in order to capture that locally. Another huge change, which I'm sure everybody is excited about, is that the HDMI output can now actually do proper multi-view. That means you'll actually see all 4 of your cameras, program preview, and there's 4 slots left over. They actually filled up these other slots on the multi-view with useful info. So it shows the media player. It also shows you a little audio mixer of all your audio inputs. It'll also show you the status of recording and streaming, including like the bit rate. So you can actually monitor your live stream status by looking at the multi-view output. And now, because there's 2 other ways to get video out, either over the USB or over Ethernet streaming, you can actually now use the HDMI for the multi-view and not worry about taking up that output. So this thing just got like 10 times more powerful. It is combining a dedicated recorder and a live stream encoder into this device itself, so I have to carry far fewer devices now and fewer cables and fewer power supplies. And as you saw from one of my previous videos, once you actually start putting all these devices on a table and connecting them, there's a lot of wires and power cords and it gets really messy. So I'm just over the top excited about how many fewer devices I need to carry in order to do the same thing. Let's talk a little more about streaming. So it's often the case that these hardware encoders will hard code a list of streaming services they support. The Webcaster X2 falls into this as well. The Webcaster X2 does support a wide variety of streaming services, but it does not support custom RTMP endpoints, which is really unfortunate. So I was really worried that the ATEM Mini would do the same thing, especially since it's targeted at a much more consumer level market. And in the video where they announced this, there were some services defined in a drop-down list. So later we got to see that you can customize it by editing the XML file. So that means as long as you're willing to go in and hand edit XML, you can define custom RTMP endpoints so you can stream wherever you want. I am so glad they did that because that just makes this thing so much more customizable and powerful. There is also a new feature in the ATEM Mini Pro that they're also backporting to the ATEM Mini, and that is that the ATEM Mini and the Pro can now control Blackmagic cinema cameras, the 4K and the 6K, which is frankly incredible because the ATEM Mini does not have SDI, and that's typically how you have to control these cameras. They were actually able to use a data channel in the HDMI cable to have the ATEM Mini send signals back up to the camera. So if you have a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K or 6K, you can actually now use it with the ATEM Mini and you get to use the software control app on your computer to control the camera settings. That is extremely impressive, and I'm also impressed that they were able to put that software back into the original ATEM Mini. So if you have one of those, you can actually control your Pocket 4K and 6K. Just make sure you update the firmware on both of the devices. So they were able to cram all of this functionality into the same package. It is the same size as the ATEM Mini. There's just a new row of buttons on the side to control the recording and the streaming and the new HDMI output. So now you can actually control your HDMI output between multi-view, program, or one of the camera angles from the buttons on the ATEM Mini Pro itself. So I am just over the top excited about getting my hands on this. They did not announce a ship date yet. They did say they are beginning manufacturing. So no idea how long that's going to take given the current circumstances, but they did say they're working on it. They also announced the price, which is $595. Now that is twice as much as the ATEM Mini. They are also still going to sell the ATEM Mini. That one's not going away. So if you are happy with the features of the ATEM Mini, you don't need to upgrade because it is the same device otherwise. But if you want the built-in streaming or being able to record to hard drives, the ATEM Mini Pro is absolutely worth it at $595. Once you try to find a dedicated hardware encoder that can live stream on the internet, you're going to be spending probably about $300. The Webcaster X2 was $300, and that was pretty much the cheapest you could find of a dedicated hardware encoder. So that is why I'm so impressed they were able to cram all the functionality into it and have it still be only $595. That is an unbelievably good price for this thing. I am sure this thing is going to sell like hotcakes again. They have been out of stock of the ATEM Minis. Everybody just bought them all up as soon as everybody started working from home. So as soon as I can get my hands on one, I will be buying one. I've already placed my own pre-order at the DVE store. This video is not sponsored by them, but they have had the best stock of the ATEM Minis, so I am confident they'll be able to do the same with the Pros once they actually start shipping. So I'll leave a link to their store in the description below so you can go and pre-order there as well. You may have noticed that I'm not in my previous studio, so I will hopefully also be doing a studio tour of this setup here as well soon. Thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you are not already, and I will see you in the next one.